Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Big Brother 28 Roundtable podcast. This is, of course, the podcast where we rate the players from 1 to 10 based on how well we think they're doing in the game. We talk about everything happening on the feeds this week. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and I am here with Melissa. How you doing, Melissa?
I'm doing great. What an exciting Sunday. I can't believe it. I feel like every time we come to the roundtable, it's kind of like not that much has like recently happened, and we're kind of rehashing stuff that happened like during the week or whatever. And this is this is obviously the first roundtable of this season that I'm like really excited to come on and talk because, as much as I love talking about it, it's like it's kind of already been said, but I feel like there haven't been that many. The only thing that has happened since the tea party has been the morning update. So I'm very excited to come on and talk about it.
Yeah, there's been very little going on today. A little bit, but not too much so far. But also joining us this week to talk through everything going on, it's Mary. How you doing, Mary?
Big Brother wise, fine. Personally, terrible. Got stung by a yellow jacket. 12 hours later, had a migraine. So it was a rough weekend. But if there's any medical experts, please tell me if a yellow jacket sting should be turning into a giant purple bruise.
Oh my God.
Are you allergic?
People keep asking me that and I'm confused. It's like, I'm not deathly allergic, but like, isn't everybody allergic? Like, doesn't everyone get like a reaction? I don't know.
Well, I just was always terrified of bee stings after we read that book in school where the kid died from a bee sting because he was allergic.
I haven't died. It's been like 72 hours. So
Are you sure?
I'm sure I haven't died. This pasty complexion is not ghostly. It's just pale.
All right. Well, there's plenty to talk about this week. Basically, we will be discussing the events, of course, of the Tea Party. I talked about it this morning on the update. There was a big confrontation between Kamu and Jason. We'll get into that. And what we do here, there's a survey that I send out every week. The audience answers questions like, who's your favorite player? Who are you voting for to get a time capsule? All kinds of fun stuff, including rating the players, as I said, based on their strategy in the game. So that's what we will get to. But first, let's give a little recap. How did we get here? Of course, the last time we talked, Devins was the HOH. He had just used the veto on Lyric, and we were like, what are you doing, bro? Turns out none of that really mattered because Rome ended up losing that Blockbuster to Jason and was sent home nearly unanimously. Taylor does cast that rogue vote, never admitted it, and nobody really cares. So with Rome gone, we saw Kamu last night in the episode win the HOH. He nominated Lyric again, Mallory, and Lala in an attempt to backdoor Jason. Since then, Lyric went on to win the veto. She plans to take herself off the block, and Jason is the intended backdoor. However, this is what we talked about this morning. This is what went down last night at the tea party. They were having a tea party. This is not a turn of phrase. It was an actual genuine tea party. There were snacks. There was a tiny bit of drag, and there were condom balloons, which I assume are mainstays of most tea parties. I've only been to one.
Everyone I've been to, condom balloons,
yeah,
100%.
That's a classic. Mm-hmm.
Kamu, though, had rehearsed a call out of Jason. I'll go into much more detail into this whole situation in the update this morning if you want a lot more detail on it. But the basics are he had made a deal in his mind with Jason that if he didn't nominate him initially, this was in the episode, that if Jason won the veto, he would work with Kamu on like what to do with it. And then he finds out that Jason was telling people that he would in fact use the veto if he won it. This is because Jason knew he was the backdoor target and he didn't really care about whatever deal they made. Kamu felt like this is a great opportunity to use this information, use this fact that Jason was intending to go against his word to Kamu as the reason he is nominating him as the backdoor target, even though everybody in the house, including Jason, knew that he was already the backdoor target. So Kamu rehearsed his speech. He gave his speech, and it turned into a big blowout, which lasted about an hour or so. That was mostly silence, mostly awkward silence as everybody was sitting there. Afterward, Jason has kind of become persona non grata. He has since taken to the always tried and true pots and pans to rattle some cages, and he has been doing that a bit throughout the day today. But the plan is still in place. Jason is the primary target. There is a little bit of intrigue in terms of what happens if Jason wins the Blockbuster. In that instance, Jason comes off the block and Mallory is up against Lala. There are a lot of people that want to keep Mallory, including people like Barrett, of course, Drew, who wants to keep Mallory as a big threat on the other side. Angela likes Mallory, but she's seemingly going a little back and forth. Haley just really wants Lala out. There are a bunch of people that want Mallory to stay, but primarily there are some people that don't want her to stay. Those people, of course, are Devins, Dee, and Kamu. Kamu, who had initially wanted to target either Jason or Mallory. Devins and Dee, because she's been saying she's coming after them for a while. And right now, Devins and Dee, despite the vote going back and forth a little bit, have recommitted to the idea of sending Mallory out the door in the event that Jason wins the Blockbuster. And they seemingly do have the influence in order to make that happen. And that's about where we are, Melissa.
It was crazy yesterday. I mean, that lasted for so long. And it was just like, at first, when everyone was talking about the tea party, like you said, I was so confused what they were talking about because I didn't know about the planning of the tea party. And everyone just kept being like, whenever this tea party happens, like, I need to get back on the feeds, da-da-da. And I was like, what tea party are they talking about? Anyway, that was wild. I mean, to be honest, I appreciated it because it was, as much as people are saying that like Kamu is a bully or whatever they are saying, I honestly thought it was pretty respectful on both ends and kind of stuck to mostly game and not personal attacks, which I appreciated. However, I felt so bad for Jason. And I thought that Jason handled himself so well. First of all, I think he looked amazing. Not that this matters, but I thought he looked so cool. He had the glasses and the hair and the shirt, and he just was like, he looked so calm.
He had his hand resting on Lyric's head most of the time, which I found very funny personally, because he had his like arm around her, but then it just kind of got stuck because everyone was frozen.
It was honestly, it was so, he looked so good. And then I thought that he kind of smoked Kamu in this fight because I felt like he totally called him out on all his stuff and made Kamu's arguments just look totally dumb. And the fact that Kamu had no rebuttal, he said like, look, if, and Lala said this too, like, if you're going to put it, because Kamu kept saying, I just wanted to put it out here in the open. And it's like, okay, well, if you're going to do that, then name some names. Like, go ahead and name some names. And he wouldn't do it. And I get why he wouldn't do it. But like, you can't say, I'm just bringing this up to clear the air and not actually name any names to clear the air. You obviously are not trying to actually clear the air. You're just trying to call someone out and create a big scene. That's obviously what you're doing. So I thought that Jason handled himself so well. I thought that his arguments were so coherent and cogent. And I just felt like he impressed me so much. I was worried it was going to turn into what the house or what the nomination ceremony was with like, you know, people going back and forth and a whole drama thing. And it really didn't. He just said like, hey, I didn't say that stuff. And everybody, like no one said, yes, you did, which would have been the next logical step is whoever he said it to be like, yeah, you said it to me. But nobody said anything. And even Lala was like, oh, he didn't do that. He's never said that to me or whatever. He didn't say he was going to use the veto on me. So I feel like Jason came out of this looking excellent. Now, does this matter? I don't know, because there's still a huge possibility that Jason goes home. I think if I'm in the house, I would view this as an opportunity of like, okay, Jason's alone. He has nobody. I want to work with him. Maybe not like out in the open, we're all working together, but I would want to secretly work with him for sure, because that's a number that you can get. So I was waiting afterwards for people to talk and say like, hey, let's pick up Jason. Let's let's do something here. And I didn't really get that, which I was kind of surprised by. Maybe we just weren't seeing the right conversations, but there really was no conversation of like, I'm going to pick up Jason because he's all alone now. And like, yeah, I think people are still treating him as he's the house target, but I do think if he wins the Blockbuster and stays this week, like I think he could have a decent shot of getting back in the game. I don't necessarily think he's just next house target, unless obviously like Haley wins or something like that next week.
Yeah, I mean, I think primarily the thing with Jason right now is that because it's what I talked about this morning, where like the call out was fake and everyone kind of knows it, but there was some truth to it. The idea that he's gone back and forth, told two different people, two different things, that kind of thing. There was some truth to that. In their eyes, Jason admitted to many of the things that he did, and they do recognize that he did do the things that Kamu was saying. The thing that they're not really like actually taking in, because it doesn't really benefit them to in their own mental state, is this idea that like Kamu's using this as an excuse, but they all knew it was happening anyway. And Kamu is outright saying that the purpose of this call out was to try to isolate Jason from any potential allies and relationships in the house that he could feasibly have moving forward if he goes on to win the Blockbuster. And to that end, it's worked reasonably well, at least for now, in that nobody really feels comfortable attaching themselves to Jason lest they find themselves in a similar position, especially because the part of the idea is that like Jason and Lala are on the block right now. They both were harmed in their association with Rome. And now if you're associated with Jason, the same is going to come to you. And this is a pretty standard playbook when it comes to like majority power, when the majority holds a lot of power and they're able to really just like don't even pair up you peons, because if you do, it will be you next, and if you don't, it will still be you next, and we'll find something else to blame you for. And so like that's the huge part of this. And I think another big part of this, and part of the response and sort of discussion that this has caused, does inevitably come from the identity of both Jason and Kamu. In that prior to the season, it was discovered that Kamu had been following some pretty egregious accounts of people who hold pretty egregious positions when it comes to the LGBTQ plus community. He had not only been following those accounts, but he had liked some very egregious posts that are just outright homophobia, outright hate. And then in the house has talked about like, miss me with the drag stuff. I have a reputation to uphold. And, you know, shown that it's, you know, there's at least something there. That combined with his presence and the way that he talks to Jason has really, I think, especially for people in that community or who have experienced this kind of thing, really been triggering to them. Jason is the only person in that house who is LGBTQ plus, and he is experiencing ostracism from primarily a man who has displayed through his social media likes and through some of his comments in the house that he is, you know, kind of miss me with that, right? Like he's not really into who Jason is. And so that is another aspect of it. And it's an aspect that I think for most of the house, they're not seeing. That's primarily because like, I don't think they're very privy to the dynamics or to the kinds of opinions Kamu may hold as directly. But it's definitely something that shouldn't go unnoticed because it's part of something that often happens in the house. I don't think it's a supreme coincidence that many of the people on the outs and many of the people that in particular that Jason is here, that this is happening. And the way that Jason responds and the way that people relate to Jason, it's all part of it. When Rome responds with like an alpha talk with Kamu, that's what Kamu respects. That's what Kamu expects. It's what he respects. And it's what he relates to. When Jason responds with the way that he communicates, the way that he navigates through life, that's not something that Kamu recognizes, respects, relates to, or understands. And so, and the same is true for a lot of the housemates, I think, there. And so it's a lot easier to be like, wow, you see what he's doing over here? Because it's different than them. And that matters when it comes to like how Jason is being judged in the house. So I think, all of this is, there's a lot of this conversation going around, and there are a lot of people that are like, well, I thought we want old school Big Brother. I thought we want call outs. I thought we want all this stuff. And I have a couple things to say to that. One is that, like, as somebody who has done deep research on old school Big Brother, like, these conversations have always been happening. They're just not as easy to ignore now as they maybe used to be, but they've always been happening. Mm-hmm. And there were always petitions and people were always losing their jobs. And it's always been this way. And another thing is that, like, this is kind of the point. Like, yeah, we can have drama. And when it's drama, it's fun. It's all that stuff. And when it's drama that's not fun for some people, they should talk about it. And these should be conversations that are being had. They don't have to ruin anybody's experience just because people want to speak out about their own experience. So there's a lot of this going on. The thing for me about Kamu too is that, like, he's so clearly, as I talked about this morning, is like somebody who really like wants to be Dan Gheesling. The way that he structures his speech, the way that he sort of like is moving through the house and getting into duos. And he talks about Derek as well. But like, the thing about Dan and the Dan speeches, the way that Dan conducted his funeral, the way that Dan maneuvered through the game when he was there, is that Dan was an underdog in those moments. Dan was like, and in Dan's funeral, he was escaping from the foot of like a crushing giant. The entire house had turned against him. And Kamu really, I think, loves that aesthetic. He's ultimately cosplaying as like the Dan Gheesling. Like, he's a tourist in this space of like, oh, I'm going to make this fun, crazy move. The reality is that he has all the power, and it's very easy and safe for him to kind of crush some ants beneath his feet in the game right now. And that's also part of why I think it's not as fun for many of the viewers to see what he's doing, because that's not really daring. That's not really like doing much beyond just like playing with your food. And so I think that's another big part of this here as well. But I'll get down from my literal.
No, but I think like I think you're totally right, and I think that like when I say that I had fun like watching it, I think it was more like it was exciting, and I was hoping it would end up switching up the game. Like, I didn't have fun watching like the awkward silences and stuff, like, and how awkward the whole thing was. Like, I was excited because I was waiting for something to happen afterwards where people would come to Jason or whatever, go to each other and be like, look, let's switch this up. Didn't happen, but it's still exciting for the possibility. I personally don't like watching big, like, showy moments like that, where it's like, I'm going to cause a stir. Like, unless your stir is to better your position in the game and it's very strategic, like Dan's funeral, like, that's one thing. But I think that somebody just being like, I'm going to cause a fight, like, I don't like that. I don't appreciate Kamu doing this. I hate, and I get full secondhand embarrassment watching somebody practice a speech like Kamu was doing with D. Like, that made me so uncomfortable. And so I don't like people amping them up, being like, yeah, do it. To me, I hate that stuff. I just felt like I was worried for Jason in this confrontation, but I thought he did such an excellent job. And he handled himself so well, and he just like knocked down one by one all of Kamu's points. And I don't know if that helps Jason. And obviously, like, it still is probably like traumatic for Jason to have Kamu come after him in front of everyone and no one stand up for you. But I just like want to give Jason his props because I thought he handled himself so well.
You both bring up a lot of good points. And for me, what's always fascinating, because this happens fairly often in Big Brother, right? This dynamic, the punching down, the singling a person out, and there's sort of two things happening in my brain. There's the really what I'm thinking about more here is for everyone else, not for Kamu, but for everyone else in the situation, because I don't personally feel like it's hard for me to relate with the idea of being the person to do the speech, and I'm not talking about in like the Rip Devins way. I'm not even really talking about in the Angela Crazy Eyes way. Like, I don't think I would do that either, but at least there was like some just like wild humor.
You're not like a crazy eye kind of person? I guess the like, vibe you give off.
Oh yeah. Whoa. I feel like that's there's levels to the type of like I'm confronting someone, house meeting, singling out, right? And this is kind of the worst example where it's both targeted at one person, doesn't exactly affect the game because, like you, Taran said, everybody already knew that Jason was going to be backdoored. This didn't change anything gameplay wise, and it didn't even do a Vanessa and like hide the reasons and mask the reason that Kamu was putting Jason up, because everybody already knew the reasons. It's like at most this is supposed to convince Jason that this is the reason, but I don't even think Jason really buys it. But so for everybody else who's in this scenario, it's fascinating to see how they react in the moment and after the fact to this type of pylon. Because from a strategic, purely gameplay perspective, if this is a one-day event, you're playing Mafia in a house, right, kind of thing. Like, this is the kind of thing where you go, it's smart of me to not stand up for Jason. It's smart of me to go along with Kamu. It's smart of me to whisper behind people's backs. It's smart of me to make sure that it's obvious what side I'm on so that I remain protected. Now, there's obviously the like emotional, social side, or not even social gameplay wise, but I mean like real world social side, where you want to believe that you'd be the kind of person who'd be like, hey, this is a game. Like, can we not like single a person out? Like, this is a little brutal. Like, or even the Lala move of like, why are we acting like only certain people are allowed to play the game? Why are we acting like it's bad when certain people make the same moves other people are? Like, I would kind of love for me to see instantly after this meeting, a lot of people go away and go, okay, like that was brutal and like feel bad for Jason, but like can't say anything. At least saying that to kind of clue me into like you're doing something strategic, but you understand what was rough about that situation. So, and I wonder how much of this, the literal like cabin fever locked in a house-ness of Big Brother puts people in such a perspective of being okay with these kind of things happening. Because I mean, even you look at Taylor Hale's season. Yes, there was the leftovers. Sure. But lest we forget that a lot of those people who were in the leftovers were happily, at the very least, kind of quietly being bystanders for the first half of the season. It's not like they were openly saying this was bad or protecting Taylor or doing anything else. Like, we eventually got to that point, but we weren't for quite a while. And I'm not even trying to say anything about people being like good people or bad people. I think this is fascinating watching this from like a social experiment perspective to see how being locked in a house and playing a game for money and being constantly aware that anything you say to anyone could get back to other people. And so you're always trying to make sure that you're sort of like on the right side of what the game is. It's fascinating to see how that works out, because I feel like we don't see it happen exactly like this in other similar types of reality shows. In shows that either like Survivor, Move Faster, or shows like The Challenge where people come back season after season, you tend to see more people being okay standing up for other people and vouching for them, because power structures shift quicker. And in something like this, where this big group could just each week pick the next person, and the last thing you want is to be the person who's going to be picked next week and be the Jason next week. And so it's like I can understand it, but I would also hope that I would do something differently just from a human perspective.
Yeah, 100%. And you know, like, listen, I see the occasional chat pop up like you guys are so soft. You know, like these people are just too soft nowadays. They can't handle all this stuff. And like genuinely, like my response to that is like, what? Like, I'm not trying to be snarky. I really am not. But like, why are you so soft that you can't handle this even being talked about without being like freaking out and being like, no, you shouldn't be talking about this. How dare you? That's just like the gut reaction I have to that. But yes, so here we are on with the Tea Party. The situation is what it is. Jason is the primary target heading into Thursday night, and this Mallory Lala thing is interesting to me. But I do feel like it is, as I said, currently leaning toward the Lala of it all. Is there anything else, Mary, that you had from the week that you thought was interesting?
I guess the main thing is just the continued scaredness, hesitation, I guess, that people are having with particularly Drew's, but even Barrett's, yes, relationship, like side relationships with people, of just, it's like this weird thing of thinking too far ahead and getting short-sighted by people who are maybe not your ally, but are allies with your ally, instead of just like, let's concentrate on our enemies for a second here. And I just feel like that's kind of muddying things, and it's playing a game where, I think kind of week one, we're like, oh, look at, Drew's positioned so well. And it's like, but he's so visible in his position that it's coming back to hurt him, just because so happens that his allies are getting kind of bogged down and worrying about his position.
Yeah, I think the game is so, sorry, I just was saying, I think because the game is so slow that people start to be like, okay, well, let's think ahead. And then they start like thinking ahead too quickly when they shouldn't be thinking ahead that fast. Like, it's like, okay, they know that eventually they're going to have to get rid of Drew, but then they start forgetting about the fact that there's so many other people that were supposed to be between now and Drew eventually, that then they just start being like, okay, well, let's like get rid of Drew now, thinking that, like, forgetting completely that they have this whole line of people that they need to get rid of before they should be looking at Drew. And it's just like the slowness of the game. I think people just start to like spin.
Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I didn't know I had that power.
I didn't know you had that power either, to be honest.
I didn't know how to do that.
You just accidentally brought a comment on the screen.
Sorry, I didn't know how to do
that.
So
Mary's like, we need to talk about this.
Mary, you've broken your word. You're not allowed to have that kind of power here.
I'm sorry.
The Drew thing I find very interesting, and I think that it has progressed in an interesting way. Obviously, we've been talking about it a lot as like Angela really being suspicious of Drew for no particular reason at first. Then over time, there started to be a reason, but they were still, her and Dee, kind of looking at the wrong things, like, oh, he's betraying us, when in reality he wasn't. This finally kind of came to a head when Angela approached Devens with the idea that they should leak the crossovers to the Red Corner, and in preparation for the betrayal of Drew in like the coming weeks. And Devens was like, whoa, no, that's not what we should be doing. And seemingly has successfully talked Angela off of that ledge. And Devens has now kind of taken over with what I would personally deem a more reasonable approach to the Drew and Barrett situation. And Dee is fully on board with him now as well. And this approach is, Drew is in a really good position. Or, I mean, the way Devens describes it, a really bad position, because he's bound to be exposed sooner or later. But like, basically, Drew has options, and that makes him dangerous. It doesn't mean I don't trust him. It doesn't mean I think he's actively running around spilling our secrets. It doesn't mean that I think he's going to turn on us this like next week. It also doesn't mean that we should be alienating him and pushing him out, because we need him to not turn on us yet. the actual way we should be approaching this is slowly eroding the options that he has while we lock in our own path forward, and then continue to allow him to falsely believe that he has a nice, cozy spot with us. And then by the time he realizes that he has no other options, then we can cut him, which is, in my opinion, exactly the approach that they should be taking. And it's exactly the approach that Devins has now spearheaded. He had a conversation with Kamu today, Kamu being Drew's basically one final bastion in this Toolshed alliance, with at least the red corner, perhaps is the better way to describe the group I'm talking about. Because he has that handyman alliance with Kamu. Now, Dee and Haley and even Chuck now and Angela have all kind of been poking and prodding at Kamu. Are you sure you trust Drew? Are you sure you trust Drew? Do you see what Drew's doing? And Kamu's been kind of like, where are the examples of what they're talking about? They kind of sound like nonsense. And so he's approaching, but there's one thing that it is doing, which is showing Kamu that Drew's not that popular, that Drew's kind of maybe a little bit of a liability. And so he approached Devins about it today, and Devins explained exactly basically what I just said, which is that the thing about Drew is that he's got options, and that is potentially dangerous to us moving forward. And so we can continue to use Drew, but I can see why they are concerned, because if Mallory wins an HOH, Drew's not in trouble. We're in trouble. If Jason wins an HOH, Drew's not in trouble. We're in trouble. And he explained it in such a good matter-of-fact way. And in the process, really, in my opinion, has fully kind of shifted, with the help of Dee and Angela and all the others who have already planted the seed with Kamu, shifted Kamu's focus from I've got red corner, I've got Toolshed, I've got handyman, to I've got red corner, I've got Toolshed, I've got Devins. I've got Devins and this Taylor alliance that I've been talking about the last couple of mornings. They've decided let's just keep that a little trio between us. Let's just keep it us basically with Taylor on the side, just as a number. And so that shared secret is now, it's not really a secret because Devins had told Dee about it, but that shared secret has now bonded them even further. And so what this is in reality doing is just kind of slowly setting Drew up for his fall without all of the unnecessary paranoia and other stuff. Devins is still doing the work to make sure Drew doesn't see what's happening. And so this sort of like pushing out of Drew and to some degree Barrett, well, getting closer to the red corner is the true sort of direction of the structure of the game here. And I think that we are going to see the results of it. For as much as Devins is pushing it back, probably relatively soon, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just feel like that it's interesting that we see things like Taylor making moves over the last couple of days, kind of shoring up some relationships, and yet why are people not doing the same thing with Mallory then? Instead of being scared that Drew has a separate relationship with Melody, maybe befriend Melody. Like, you still have the ability to do that. It's still early in the game.
Yeah. I mean, and this is the thing, right? Like, there is a world where this very vote, is the thing that breaks the whole structure. And Devins he's talking to Kamu about that in this conversation. Like, technically, Drew and Barrett might be able to try to flip against us. They might blindside us, and then we are on the wrong side of the numbers. But they don't think Drew and Barrett are there yet. And they're not, from what we've seen. But they very clearly should be. And Kamu and Devins even say so, basically. Yeah, they are at the bottom. They probably should do something. But they are not. And so that is the main thing. If Drew, and now Barrett might have a little bit more leeway because he might be able to slip through the cracks. But Drew is in really like the front lines here, and he really does not see it. In my opinion, Drew really should take a stand. He really should try to flip the entire house and vote out Lala this week. In any scenario, quite frankly, against Jason or Mallory, but certainly against Mallory. And so, but I don't think he's going to. And it has already been sort of positioned as a declaration of war if he does. This whole thing with like the will they, won't they on the Mallory vote, Devon's proposed to Kamu that it was like, hey, this is a true test of where Drew and Barrett stand. If the vote comes down to Mallory or Lala, the other side will expect them to vote for Mallory to stay, and will expect them to vote for Mallory to go. And so they'll be picking a side. And that's kind of good for us as long as we can make sure that our side wins that vote regardless. So that's kind of where Devon's and Dee stand on this whole vote situation, and the whole, again, like sort of direction of the game moving forward here. So interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Melissa, anything else to bring up before we get to the survey stuff?
I was about to say, yes, I have something I would like to bring up, which is, do we, like, as a general idea, do we think that it's a good idea to, I guess, rile someone up or gas them up to do a big house meeting like this? Generally, I mean, specifically, I guess more specifically this season related, Dee was gassing Kamu up and saying like, yes, oh my God, that'd be so funny. That'd be so good. Like, oh yeah. And you'll take a pause before you drink your tea or whatever. Like and just making him feel like this is such a smart idea. And then in her cam talk later, she was saying, yeah, I made him do it. I gassed him up to do it. And the reason why is because I want other people to be fighting. That is not us. It takes the heat off the vets, and it'd be better if they fight each other. And so then people will forget about us. But number one, I don't feel like they got the intended result, because they got brought up, the vets, that Jason's going to go after the vets, and Jason's going to go after the Haley, Chuck, and Kamu combo. And it singles out more that the vets are like a group, number one. And number two, you know, if you're looking at someone like, and yes, I know this is like considered a boring game, but if you're looking at like Derek from Big Brother 16, I feel like part of the reason he was able to do such a dominating, successful game was his ability to kind of tamp down any sort of potential conflicts within the alliance,
all the house meetings. People hated it.
The alliance. Yeah, exactly. I mean, the viewers hated it, but it was really good for him, because I feel like it kept away the drama of the house. It kept people from being like, okay, well, now I'm going to go after people that you're aligned with. Because yes, while it kind of, Dee thought that it would get the heat off the vets, Kamu is someone that she's aligned with. And I feel like this whole thing just creates a target out of Kamu, or makes him seem like he's a big threat, and like, oh, we need to get this guy out eventually. And I just feel like I don't think it brought a good form of drama or removed any sort of heat from the vets or did anything that she said it was going to do. And so I guess my question is, do we think that this sort of like technique or, you know, strategy is good? Or do we think that it's better to pull a Derek and kind of keep the drama down in the house?
I think the technique can work if your goal is to then follow this up by distancing yourself from Kamu and throwing Kamu under the bus. Like that's a way when it does work, sure. Or if your goal is to isolate a player, you know, that's a way to make it work. But in general, and I'm trying to think, I think Taran, was it I mean, Vince definitely had this problem, and I feel like we saw some of this in Chelsea season 2 of like, you want your allies to get along, so you don't want to encourage drama in a way that's going to separate your allies from each other in a way that doesn't benefit you, especially not this early in the game. But I don't know. I think there are times when this can work. I don't think that this particularly did anything for like Dee this time around.
The thing I often say is that big like house meetings or blow-ups or confrontations, they're usually bad for the people in power. Like if you are in power and you have a good structure set up, the last thing you want is something chaotic that could potentially disrupt the normal flow of business, because the normal flow of business is going really great for you. Mm-hmm. So if you're in power, it's not great usually to encourage big blowups. because who knows what might come up in the shuffle? Who knows what kind of relationships will shift in the shuffle? And the relationships being the way they are is why you're in power right now. So you shouldn't generally want that, in my opinion. If you're on the bottom and you've got nothing to lose, that's where like maybe you can dredge something up. Maybe you can shake the structure a little bit with a little house meeting or whatever it is that you want to do. And so that's, yeah, I do think generally, if you are in a position of power, you don't want to do this. I think another thing Dee mentioned about this particular blow up that she really wanted was that she wanted specifically Kamu to look bad and for his game to be blown up a little bit more. And you know, you can sort of see that too. And I think that's often sort of like the idea behind like, oh, somebody's proposing that they do a big house meeting. Go ahead, ruin yourself. And so there's like maybe some validity to that, but it's not always so one-to-one. And again, if you're already in a good position, I don't think it's usually worth trying to risk something like that. Not to mention the implications, again, of like if you are in power, encouraging blowups, encouraging or doing blowups yourself. That's, I think, not a good look to both the audience and potentially the people inside the house. It makes you look like you are like looking upon them from on high. So yeah, I mean, I think to answer, I agree. I think that like generally, and there are always going to be specifics to maybe point in another direction, but I think generally it's not a good idea if you are in the power position to do a confrontation or encourage a confrontation.
And like you said, such a misread of the oh my gosh, how am I forgetting his name? Dan. Wow, that was scary for a second. Drew just kept going through my name. It's like, it's not Drew. It's not Drew. Dan. It's a misreading of the Dan's funeral situation of like, Dan did it as a Hail Mary move when he wasn't in power. He was the one to make the move. And so you might think of it like, if you're just sort of very surface level thinking back to it, like, oh yeah, he had the power. And so he made this big move. No. You're missing the point of why he felt like he should do this. And it's not because he's HOH in power with everyone liking him.
Yeah.
And he's trying to single out one person. That's not how that went down.
I mean, even nomination roulette, which is, I would say, in my opinion, probably the more correct opinion, is the dirtier move between like the stuff that he did, because he was in power at that point. It was still in a position where there were relatively equal sides at that point. Like it was a divided house. And his hope was to sort of like throw up a smokescreen and keep the eyes off of him as much as possible moving forward. And even that he had to like really explain away, because that was like a sticking point for many of the jurors, because it approached the line of like, you were in power, you were playing with your food. All right.
Yeah, and I just want to point out, though, one thing I want to point out is that, like, I can't think of a situation where someone was encouraging someone else to do a house meeting because they thought that it would be good for that person's game. Like, I literally can't think of a time where someone was like, yes, do it, without an ulterior motive of like, this person's going to look stupid, or this is going to be better for my game because something will blow up. Like,
probably like somebody on the bottom who has another friend that's on the bottom that's like, might as well try.
Yeah. But I just, yeah, it's like, I can't even think of a scenario. Anyway, go ahead.
All right. I'm expecting some shifts in the popularity rankings here. I don't know about you guys, but I think that we might see some movement. Of course, again, I send out a survey every week. If you want to fill it out, I post it on Blue Sky and Twitter, and it gets posted elsewhere as well. You can rank players from your favorite to your least favorite. You can answer all kinds of other questions, but we will be doing some rankings here. Let me pull up the charts. This is what we got. This is week 2's rankings. And let me just like bump up the size of the players a little bit here. Week 2, Drew was the most popular player on the board. Do we think that Drew is still the most popular player on the board?
I think so.
See, it's like, I feel like he's gone down, but I can't think of who would have gone up. Like, I don't know who would be number one. So I guess by default, sure.
He is, in fact,
there you go.
Still number one.
Number one.
Last week, D was number 2. Do we think D is still number 2?
I don't think so. I think I could see people rooting for like, I could see Jason popping up, but I don't know if he pops up enough to beat some of the people who are already up there, like maybe Devins or something. Yeah, maybe, gosh, I don't know if Jason goes all the way up to number 2. Maybe Devins.
I don't think Jason goes to number 2.
Yeah.
Melissa says Devins. Mary?
I think D's still number 2.
Devins.
Up
from 4th place now into 2nd place.
I think that also helps by the contingent of people who were happy that Rome left.
Yes. So big movement up from Devins. Who's number 3? Is it D? Is it Angela, who was number 3 last week?
Jason. I think people feel for him. I think that, that was this bad situation, and I think people feel for him. So I could see Jason.
I'm going to go out on a limb and think it's Angela then. I know I'm changing it up by thinking that D was still in 2nd, but oh well.
Melissa, 3 for 3.
Wow,
Jason.
okay. I'm just going to let Melissa say all of these. I'm so off. And I didn't even...
My next spot is probably Kamu. I think Kamu's next.
Yeah, no.
Just kidding.
Can we skip down to the bottom? Because I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like now it's getting kind of hard.
Jason, big spike from 8th place to 3rd.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I still feel like Angela's going to be above D. I don't know why.
I think Angela's going to be above D too, because I think people are not pleased.
I don't think
D.
people like D's some of her other relations that she's.
And I think someone else who has a good chance of moving up is Lyric, because I think people have been into her this week, and then also she came to comfort Jason, which I definitely appreciated. I thought that, Devins came to comfort him. Not really comfort him, but he did say, like, this isn't personal, which I did appreciate. I don't know if Jason appreciated it. It kind of looked like he rolled his eyes, but I couldn't tell because he was kind of just looking up. And so I'm not going to put any judgment on that. I'm going to see that he took it in a genuine way, let's just say. But then also Lyric came to him and was like, I love you. And I could see people appreciating that, honestly.
I think Melody is also potentially moving up like 1 or 2 spots here.
All right. Well, I can tell you, Jason is the first person to crack the crossovers top 5 in the history of the season. First 2 weeks, the crossovers were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, both times. Jason now the first person cracking into that. Do we have a guess on number 4?
Oh, it's so hard. I'll just say Lyric just for fun, but I don't know. Lyric or Melody?
I'm going to say Angela. I don't know.
Barrett.
Now that's surprising to me.
Barrett number 4, moving up from his 5th spot last week.
Wow.
Okay. This means that D and Angela are dropping.
Yes.
D and Angela continuing to drop.
I still think that Lyric and Melody are going to move up.
I think so too.
Well, next is D. There it is. From 2nd to 5th is D.
Yeesh.
Angela not above D here.
That's interesting.
Well, then probably Angela then, right?
Yeah, because I was thinking that D would either stay exactly where she was, just basically staying steady, or drop like a lot more than this. So she actually didn't drop as much as I thought it would be. Yeah,
I feel like if people aren't that mad at D, then they probably aren't that mad at Angela. Although, like, it was kind of disheartening afterwards for Angela to be all like, that was amazing, you did great, Kamu, or whatever. And then, the fact that Angela, like, got into the confrontation too, probably people don't love. Yeah.
Next is Melody.
Yeah, I saw that one moving up. I think Melody's at least like one of the few people, while she's been messy, she is like trying different things, popping around. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Holding strong in 6th place, Melody. After Melody,
it's probably
Mallory.
Angela. Whoa. Okay, I was not expecting that. I was not expecting Angela to drop this far. Oof.
Wow.
Yeah, still no Angela. After Mallory in 8th place, Taylor.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I see that one.
Big jump from
sense.
12th to 8th. After Taylor?
I think the problem is, let me see, is this the lyric spot or is lyric still lower?
It's the lyric spot. It's lyric.
Spot. Yeah.
From 11th to 9th.
It's moving
up, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we have Angela.
Wow.
Who fell from 3rd to 10th.
Big drop.
Big drop.
Big drop indeed. After Angela, Lala. Small drop from 10th to 11th.
And I think that that's probably less Lala dropping and more other people moving
People
up.
rising. Yeah.
Yeah.
After Lala, Chuck. From 14th to 12th. Chuck on the move up. Look at Chuck.
I mean,
then
when
we have
you're
our bottom
looking at these
three.
other three, I feel like it's a
So far, Yash has been 16th and 16th.
Mm-hmm.
Haley has been 17th and 15th, and Kamu has been 15th and 9th.
I could see a situation where Yash moves up, but only because other people move down.
Yeah, I think personally, I'm just going to say this now. I think Kamu's going to be last.
I think so.
So I think this is Yash or Haley. I'm not sure the order.
It's Haley.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
Haley up from 15th to 13th.
Yeah, I don't know whether or not Yash was so sort of forgotten here that he just remained in last, but I feel like Kamu probably did enough to move him down.
Mm-hmm.
It depends how many people were submitting. Yeah.
Yash, 14th.
Yeah, big drop for Kamu.
Big drop from Kamu from 9th to 15th.
So Kamu and Dee and Angela, the 3 big drops.
Angela, the biggest drop. She fell 7 spots. Kamu fell 6 spots. He just had less room to go, ultimately. I think he probably would have fallen further. Mm-hmm. Barrett continuing to hold relatively consistently, and Jason with a massive rise, 5 spots this week. I can also show you the chart here of the actual placements in terms of their score. Drew pretty far out in the lead, followed by Devins there in second. Big grouping of Jason, Barrett, and Dee. Then a bit of a group of the women here, Mallory, Melody, Taylor, Lyric, Angela. Then Lala, fully just like out on her own in no man's land. And then the bottom grouping of Chuck, Haley, Yash, and Kamu down in there at the bottom.
What I see just instantly from looking at this view is that from the audience who's doing these votes, prioritizing like gamer action, strategic action first, and then a combination of fun TV and underdogs, and that's the sort of like Dee, Devins, Jason contingent. And then you've got it just so happens to be women, but people who are starting to kind of play and like trying different things. And then you've got like I will still never understand because Kamu, Chuck, and Haley, this happens every season in like every show, is that you get an alliance like this who for whatever reason thinks they're like America's favorite and just don't have any understanding of the audience. And when I say America, I mean like, I don't know, the nerds who are watching, podcasts about this show. Like, I don't know what the general public thinks. Maybe they love them. But like, it's just always so fascinating to me that like they're the ones who are probably the most in the game being like, oh, everybody loves us. Look at us, our strong alliance. It's just so funny.
There you go. All right. So that is the audience favorite rankings. We also asked some questions to the audience. We asked to rate some things. I do have some new graphics for the questions. Hopefully works properly here. This is the episode ranking chart. All of the past seasons for the episodes and the ways that they have been ranked across the seasons we've been doing this. So I asked the audience to rate the episodes this week. And you can see that this week 3, the average is of 5.3. Not great.
Pretty bad.
This season so far, the average is a 6.9. So what do we got this week? A 6.4.
Okay.
Not bad. Bit of a drop from last week, but better than the average for a week 3. In fact, it's one of the best week 3s of episodes in the history of since we've been doing this, since BB21. Only beaten by Big Brother 23's week 3.
Wonder what that was. Got a pretty good score.
Let's see. It was after it was it DX's HOH, perhaps?
How do you remember?
Or no, was
this?
it must have been no, it was
I don't even know who won
right?
Big Brother 23.
Yeah, Big Brother 23. I'm like, which one was that? I've narrowed it down.
I literally don't know.
I think it was.
I know nothing.
I could be wrong. All right. Next, we have the feeds rating. Feeds rating for week 3. Last week, feeds were super high. It was an 8.3. It was the highest rated week 2 since Big Brother 21. This week, week 3, the average is a 6.8. We got a 7.3. Not bad. Same as week 1. Not quite as high as the highs of like BB26, 25, 24. About matching 23 for the feeds here. It is a drop, but like that was probably going to happen after the excitement of like the Toolshed and all of the callouts and stuff. And then sort of like, you know, the Tea Party was interesting, but not entirely enjoyable. So 7.3 here makes a little bit of sense. Then we have the season as a whole. This one is really, I think, the one that like really tracks the general sentiment. Again, average for a week 3 is a 6.4. Last week we had a 7.3. This week, a 6.3. Big drop. Fully now, it just matches the average of a week 3.
I mean, I could see that. Like, I get it. When Kamu won, I was like, oh boy. Like, you know, you always want to shake up. And I feel like it's like, ugh, we just know what's going to happen this week. Great. So I get why it dropped for sure.
Interestingly enough, last season, Big Brother 27 also had a big drop from week 2 to week 3. Very similar one. And it never fully recovered from that drop.
Not really. That's not a good sign.
I know. I'm just scanning the list. It's hard to recover. I mean, Big Brother 24 certainly got better, but
the season ranking as a whole does not move very quickly generally. So like a full point drop like that is a big drop, especially because it drops more easily than it rises. So, all right. I asked the audience to rate the HOH reign of Kamu. From 1 to 10. How is Kamu doing as an HOH? Last week, they gave Devins a 5.1. They gave D an 8.4. And the average for a week 3 HOH is a 4.8. Kamu got a 3.7.
Yeah. Ooh. Is it naive of me to just be thinking like that Kamu and the other members of the whatever their trio is called, if they have a name, that they should be like, I was gonna say their biggest targets should be more like D and Devins, but I don't know. They need some allies at this point. They're not getting them in a whole lot of other places. So it's I hate to say that you can't bounce back, but it's almost like they've set themselves in like such a bad spot with being just numbers for the people who actually hold like a lot of power. I mean, given that Kamu and Chuck and Haley can probably win a decent number of challenges, so they have the ability to sort of gain the power, but
yeah, I mean, I don't think this was a devastating HOH for Kamu by any means. I think like,
but doesn't it feel like he's just targeting the people that other people are telling him to, like, or have convinced?
Right, but like, there's kind of nobody
yet?
targeting Kamu at the moment. It's like it might have been Jason. He was kind of going after the vets. It might have been Mallory. She was kind of going after the vets, but there was nobody else really targeting him. What he's really doing is taking out one of the biggest comp threats on the other side. If it's Mallory, if it's Jason, those are two people he wasn't working with that could win competitions. it weakens players that could maybe take his spot in the game. It's I don't think it's a bad HOH in that sense. I do think he kind of like, showed his ass a little bit. But most of the people in that house don't really care all that much.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I think it really just comes down to, for me, like, is the person that's going to leave the person who, or, an option of a person who would be good for him to get out. So.
Well, we also have a previously on rating.
Mm-hmm.
In retrospect, what did we think Devins' HOH was? He got a 5.1 in the moment. In hindsight, do we think this is higher? I think it's higher.
Yeah, probably because
really?
Rome left, which I feel like
I feel like it goes up because Rome left, but I feel like I don't know. A few days removed, it doesn't look like it's really hurt him, some of the moves that he made in it, but I still think he made some messy decisions throughout the course of the HOH.
6.7.
Okay.
Wait, what was it before?
5.1.
Oh, yeah.
So,
okay.
Definitely went up.
Yeah. So it did go up. We can also look at the average.
It would have plummeted had Melody gone home.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's still, for what it's worth, we haven't asked many of the retrospective HOH reign questions, so you can see there's not many here. Mm-hmm. But of the ones that we have asked, Rachel BB27 is the highest, followed by D, followed by Devins. Mm-hmm. All right. Then we finally have Rate Production, which started for a very specific reason, as you can see back in Big Brother 27. The audience has been pretty high in production so far, 6.7, 6.1 this week, 5.1. Honestly, still higher than I would have expected, given this Diamond Power Veto nonsense.
Yeah, but I mean, are we including some of the wonderful choices they made on Unlocked?
That's fair. I mean, if you want to count Unlocked, they've made some good decisions with Unlocked. And the episodes haven't been that bad. But in terms of, setting the time limit on a Diamond Power Veto, definitely not happy about that.
I don't know if this was mentioned last night. Haven't listened to the podcast yet. But I got Mandela affected myself, but over the course of an hour by thinking that that production was literally doing a Big Brother Canada Pretty Boys reference. And I was staring at the other wrestlers being like, wait, who are they? Who are they in the Pretty Boys? They don't look like any of them. And when I saw the clip on Unlocked versus when I saw the episode yesterday, I was confused. I thought that they were Pretty Boys. Anyway.
And you know what? There's people in the chat saying they literally shouted you out. How are we not happy with production right now? And you know what? Fair enough. They didn't cut the shout out. That was nice of them.
Yeah, but I didn't get a named shout out, so I give production a 0.
You true. You gotta do a TikTok, Melissa.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I should have done a
bring back the Big Brother drunk history. And
if you had done drunk history back then, maybe it gets on Unlocked. Who knows?
Ooh, yeah, just re-upload it. It'll get on there.
Yeah, I'll be like, this is new. This is new, guys.
You have to do it for the current season, I think. But
yeah, I think so.
You could do a tea party one. Oh
man.
We also yeah. All right. Next. Who are you voting for to receive this week's time capsule power? I have not been asking this question because I am stupid and I forgot. And this week I remembered. And so now I am asking on the survey, who are you voting for to receive this week's time capsule power? Melissa, do you have an official endorsement?
Yeah, I voted for the first time for Jason.
Mary?
I have been voting for Mallory. I want chaos.
Ooh, okay. Well, the audience says Jason, 43%, Drew, 33%. It's a bit of a split there. And then D in third place with 11%. I I don't do really endorsements generally. I don't vote in these things. But I will do an anti-endorsement. Please, for the love of everything holy and Big Brother, do not vote for D.
Yes. Yeah.
She doesn't need it. We don't need it. It's fine.
And I feel like giving her the voting for her and then that having it be Angela, Devon's, D just gives them all the confidence in the world that like, oh my God, America's on our side. We're doing everything right. We should keep working with Kamu and Haley and Chuck and da-da-da. It's like, I would like a shakeup. I would like to send a message. And I think if Jason wins this, we're sending a message because it will show them that we are not on board with that big giant Toolshed alliance or whatever. Like we don't want that. The people want something else. And maybe that will cause them to change up their game.
My favorite thing in Big Brother are power shifts. Constant power shifts are great. And my second favorite thing is people who find out that America doesn't like them. That's my favorite thing.
Yeah, it is great.
Humbling. Yes, that's the nicer way of saying that.
Yes, humbling them. Yes.
Imagine the world where D receives the coin flip of destiny power next week. That's just done. Like the rest, like the following 5 weeks are just over. Like it's just
Devin
we can just like we can take a nap
made more sense.
and wake up at jury and see where we're at. You know what I mean? Like nobody could possibly do anything against them. So, you know, we'll see. Listen, the thing is, though, of course, it's not like she's guaranteed to get that. It's not like it's not a punishment that could be doled out. The thing is, I mean, here's the thing. Ultimately, there's been a huge push I've seen for Jason. I actually do think there's a world where that makes sense. I think that there's definitely a world where this edit is very favorable for Jason. This edit will come on a Wednesday night, which will be the biggest night for casual voting. And so I do think that underdog Jason will probably have a huge swell of casual support. I think there's a very good chance that Jason does actually win this vote, depending on how the edit goes, of course. Problem, of course, is what happens if Jason gets voted out? He doesn't win the Blockbuster.
It doesn't just go to the second place person, probably?
Probably goes to second place person. Not entirely sure who that would be. It might be Drew, might be D. But like, I just want to, like, you know, there are so many things that have to go right for us here.
I'm just mad that one of the powers is not the halting hex. So,
like, I'm just like, Jason has to survive.
Yeah.
He has to win the Blockbuster. Theoretically, that's a 33% chance. I think he's got a greater than 33% chance. Then he has to get the vote. He has to actually win the vote. Then he has to go into the room. And theoretically, it's a 50-50 chance if he doesn't see the pattern like Devon's did of getting a punishment or a power. And then within that 50% chance, he also has to get one that actually matters and not like the never not pass.
But I feel like even if he gets a pass even if he gets that, or if he gets a power that doesn't really matter, I think the fact that he got chosen will give him something, because I feel like there are people in the house who would care about if America likes them or not. And I think if they get the vibe that America likes Jason and is on his side, and then in turn is not on Kamu's side, I think that would be meaningful to people. And I think that might help Jason, even if he gets a bad power or doesn't get a power, gets a punishment. Like, I think that would help his game for sure.
I would rather him get a punishment than get a never not pass, because I would rather everybody know for a fact. I guess if you got a never not pass, they would also know. Never mind. I'd take that back. I would rather them. I feel like I'm already prepping. This is what I'm doing. I'm prepping myself to be really annoyed when he gets the never not pass.
But couldn't he? Okay, so wait, I have a question.
But you make a good point, which is that at least if he gets the never not pass, it shows the entire house that Jason is now the fan favorite in there.
But so is there in the rules
ideally
that he can't tell people? Like if he gets a power, he can't say it, or can he tell people outright, like, I got a power? Because
100% he can.
Like, I think that, like, if he's in a position where people are like thinking that he's the house pariah or whatever, and he's all on his own, he could use that to his advantage to tell certain people or whatever, America is on my side. Like, join me. I got the power. They voted for me. And maybe in a normal situation, we'd be like, don't tell people you have the power. But maybe in this particular situation, it would actually benefit him, because then they would know that America is on his side. And that would be very interesting.
I agree. I think it's a good launching point to get socially reintegrated.
We have to see what happens between now and then, though. And also with the order of when he would win the power versus who would already be HOH and stuff. It's like, I would like to think that some people would say, oh, cool. Like, but if people have already kind of publicly gone against him, they're just going to be mad, and they're going to be like, no, I refuse to, like.
Well, somebody like Kamu, like, will probably double down, but I think a decent amount of the bystanders will be in the diary room like, you know, I really feel like Kamu didn't give Jason enough of a chance. You know, like, I feel like it does tend to shift those kinds of players in that. So I do think it would be quite interesting if Jason won the power.
Yes, it would be.
Yes. All right. Looks like they are. There's some more campaigning going on at the moment. I'm curious to see where it goes, but let's continue with the questions. Is Kamu choosing the right replacement nominee? Of course, I mean this like for his game, you know, not like,
you
know.
I mean, I guess so.
Yeah.
Anything else is kind of an uninteresting question because it's a pretty easy answer. Yes, it's a pretty easy answer for that one.
I don't think he went about it the right way, but sure.
Exactly. Finally, last question. Who do you want to be evicted this week? Who do we think is the most popular choice here?
Lala, not because I want her to be evicted necessarily. I just feel like she doesn't really have a chance, and she doesn't really know what she's doing. And so it's kind of like, out of all of those, the most interesting option is to keep Jason and Mallory for sure. But I did appreciate Lala in the meeting. I liked that I mean, to be fair, she was called out. So obviously she's going to stick up for herself and Jason, like, and say something. But I thought that she very smartly called out the fact that, number one, Kamu wasn't actually getting anything out in the open. And number two, that only Jason was being called out for lying when everybody else is doing the same thing. So I appreciated her in the meeting, but in terms of game, I don't know if she really has it.
That's exactly where I'm at. And seems to be exactly where the audience is at as well. 75% say Lala, 13 and 12% say Jason and Mallory, respectively. I don't think anybody's anti-Lala in the same way that I don't think her position on the ranking chart was like particularly pointed. I think that it's just like, for the same reasons the people in power want to keep her, the same reasons we kind of like between her, Mallory, and Jason, it's like it's kind of the least likely to be able to rise against here. So that's it. That's the questions. Let's get to the stock watch. Let's get to the stock watch for the week. Here we go. This is the stock watch portion of the podcast. This is where we rate the players from 1 to 10 based on how well we think they're doing in the game. I'll make it as big as you want here in the stock watch. What we do here, we give them a rating from 1 to 10. Higher the better, lower the worse. And it's sort of like how they're doing right now. Do we agree with the decisions they're making? What is their long-term what are their long-term prospects? What is their short-term safety? All kinds of factors that might be included. Just because someone gets a higher rating than another person doesn't mean that like they're more likely to win the game necessarily. It might just be that we think they're being little dum-dums in the moment. And so we're punishing them for it. So let's start.
Can I point something out? I would like to point something out because I was getting a lot of comments about, can you make Melissa go first? Because all she does is just agree with everyone. We rotate every person. I go first on a third of the people. So how can I just say, yeah, I agree when no one has rated anyone yet?
Also, and I will completely defend Melissa here because like we have made a point of like, if we're giving the same rating and we don't have a lot more to add, like we try to not repeat the same things over and over. Like there's 3 people all giving a rating. If we're all giving a lukewarm 5 rating on a person. We don't all need to give a soliloquy. And so like,
and we start this podcast saying, we're going to try and keep it to 2 hours. So if like literally we do a pep talk before and we say, we're going to try and keep it to 2 hours. If you like are rating the same thing, just say, yep, agreed, same, and move on so we can talk about something more interesting. Okay.
And Melissa is the best at that. I need to keep my own trap shut more often.
Yeah, I'm literally just like, okay, yeah, same. Because I know we're trying to move on. Like, what do I have to add? Nothing. When somebody is saying something and I want to say the same thing, like I absolutely am more than willing to repeat them and say something very similar or just in a different way. But I try not to do that because then I get reamed for doing that. So whatever.
Yeah, and people will say like, oh, they want us to disagree, but then the second you have an opinion that's even remotely hot, that's like, how dare you?
You're so wrong. You really
I
think
why
that
they want you to disagree, because they want to be mad at you.
It's like, come on. I can please nobody. Either I agree with Taran and I'm too agreeable, or I don't agree with Taran and I'm very, very wrong because Taran's right. It's like, I don't even know what I don't know.
All right.
Anyway, just had to throw that out there.
It's thrown out there. Fun stuff this time around. I don't know the audience ratings, so we all get surprised by them. I'm really enjoying that as we do. I was also realizing, by the way, in the moment as I was going through the audience ranking for the favorites, I was like, oh, why don't I do this for this too? So I don't even know. So I'm also guessing. That would be so fun. I get to guess. Anyway. Let's talk about Angela. Angela, of course, is still well positioned. In fact, I would say this week is like doing better than before, in the sense that she's kind of like taken a more appropriate approach to the Drew situation. We also, by the way, got a little Angela chart. She started at a 7, went down to a 6 last week. That'll be more interesting as more weeks go by. But this week I feel like she's still in a decent place. I do think that the new direction for the vets is a very good one. I think the fact that Devins has this diamond power veto, despite the fact that he did not tell her about it, is still incredibly good for her. He is willing to use it to keep her safe. He said so to Dee. He's just not going to tell her about it. And people do still look at her as a player in this game, frustrated though they may be. And I don't think that she'll be like super targeted necessarily amongst this whole group of people as well. Last week, I gave her a 6. I'm honestly inclined to give her another one. I think I'm going to give her a 6.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I'm disappointed with Angela this week. I think I'm worried about her because I feel like obviously Dee and Devins are closer with each other than they are with Angela. They tell each other things that they don't tell Angela. They are obviously each other's final two. And I don't feel like Angela has someone like that for herself. She's in a decent spot right now, but I'm worried about her long-term prospects. And I also think that her getting involved, like as much as we want to say like, oh, you know, someone's got to say something when there's a confrontation like this. Everyone was just silent. But Angela getting involved in a way that kind of made it feel like it was like about her. Like she's like, why are you like, you're saying that I said that? It's like, he wasn't trying to bring you into this. Like, let's just leave you out of this right now. And I feel like that was not a very good look for her. I think I at this point, like, because she's positioned well, even though she doesn't have like a final two situation, I still think she has a decent shot. So I'm just going to keep her at a 5, but it's like a low 5 and I'm kind of disappointed.
Mary?
I've been going back and forth between two numbers this time.
What are the numbers?
The numbers are 5 and 6, so I've got to decide who I'm agreeing with. And I feel like I don't necessarily 100% agree with either of you exactly on what you're saying. Like, I agree with more of what Melissa said, but I initially was thinking that was a 6. I'm just trying to think of do I really feel like, you know, next week, the week after, is Angela going to, has she actually positioned herself somewhere right now where she is going to be able to like steer out of this curve? Like, best Angela is when Angela's kind of fun and entertaining and making, you know, connections with people. And I just worry that she can so easily fall into like making it worse for herself. I think I'm going to go with a 5. I think I'm just going to commit to that one.
All right. The audience says, this is my best, my nominee is. The audience says, whoa.
Wow, another 5.
And that has gotten so much use. It's such a good soundbite.
It's
wow,
so good.
With like the weird like country music in the background or something. Like hoedown music. I don't even know.
Wow, a 5.
And the swoop. It's so funny.
Audience says a 5. They agree with you. Angela lands at a 5. Melissa, what are your thoughts on Barrett?
Oh, I'll just wait till someone else says something so I can just agree with them.
Yes.
No, yeah.
Yeah, stupid audience just always agreeing with Melissa and having nothing else to say.
Yeah. God, come on. The audience never gives their explanation. It's like, okay, they're just agreeing. Okay.
I tell that to the chat.
Yeah, right. Okay. Barrett, I think, is honestly like in a similar position that he was last week. I want something more to happen with him. I feel like there is something there, but I feel like he's playing really a little scared, maybe. And maybe it's because he feels in sort of like he doesn't want to put himself out there and go against, quote unquote, this big alliance that he's in. But I hope that he starts to get a little nervous and really get a fire in him to figure something else out. And just like having conversations with people like Mallory or whoever, like it's not enough. I feel like he needs to do something else to improve his position, because like we were saying earlier, the Toolshed have all basically said like Derek and Drew are kind of at the bottom. And not only that, he's also known to the rest of the house as like the middleman now. And that's not a good position. It makes you feel like he's a flip-flopper or a floater or whatever you want to call it. And people don't really like that. So at this point, I'm going to stick with my 5, but I just feel like I need something for Barrett's position to improve and move up. Like I just need to see something there.
What do you think, Mary?
Gosh, yeah, based on my own logic, it's like I feel like I believe that he has more of an ability to improve and put himself in a better spot than Angela does, but at the same time, I've seen him to directly not do that. So, I think I'm actually just going to drop him to a 4. Which is sad, but I think that's where we're at. I already feel like this season is another one of these where like everybody's hovering in this like 4 to 6 range for so much of it, but we'll see. I think that it's just that right now he's very visible in that middle spot, and is not vouching for his allies enough. And if he's vouching for his side pieces and his quote unquote main allies aren't listening to it, then you're not in a good spot. You're not doing either thing well. So
yeah, I'd plan to move down for Barrett. It's a bad week for him. If Mallory goes, it's bad. If that side gets deteriorated, it's bad. He's in a bad position. But then, D kind of came back around on him. And I do feel like Drew is the flashier target if you're going to take a shot at the middlemen. And I do feel like there is a world where, like, because it even D and Devon's talked about this, like, and hey, who knows down the line, if we do go to final, say 6 with the red corner, or maybe we do take somebody like a Barrett, and if he's just in that spot enough, I feel like he has a backup plan, I guess is what I'm saying. He's got a plan that like takes control, saves Mallory and Jason, flips the house, and then they get screwed over by the Diamond Power Veto anyway. Or there's the plan where him and Drew get exposed and targeted, and Drew goes and Melody goes, and then they start thinking, actually, maybe we should use Barrett and flip on the red corner. And he's like in an okay spot there. Maybe. Is it enough to keep him at a 5? It's just barely enough to keep him at a 5. That's how I feel. What does the audience think? The audience says a 5. There you go. There you go. So.
Wow, another 5.
Personally, I love it. Never gets old. Honestly, if you had asked, I would have said,
oh, I love it.
Ooh, I love it. That was so funny. When she
Mary,
just like, oh.
How do you feel about Chuck?
Oh gosh, I feel like Chuck is. I feel like I ask this every season. My problem is that I keep looking too long term. Like I'm just supposed to be rating them on the week, but their week sets up the future. And if I don't like the future, what am I doing? Okay, Chuck was a 4 before. Do I feel like he's gone up or down? I feel like his position has more or less stayed the same, but he's not gaining any love. And he's, I'm going to keep him at a 4 because I don't think that it's really moved a whole lot. He's surrounding himself by people who I think are going to end up not being super liked. I don't think he can particularly win the game where he's at right now, but I can't look past the fact that I think the people he's allied with are going to remain in power for a while. So that's where I'm putting him. I'm going to keep him at a 4.
That's pretty much exactly how I feel. I mean, he's moving nowhere. His position, I would say, is better this week, but he's not doing anything outside of his position. I just don't see a win for him in the future. I mean, it's a long game. But like, he's
if we
not
get to a point
to me
where he's ended up, we're in the final 5 and he's still there, and other people have done enough chaotic things to where he's like the least objectionable person. Like there's a way he can win. I don't think he's completely unwinnable, but I don't think he's not doing anything to make himself win at this point.
Yeah. 4 for me as well. I think,
wow. How dare you?
Right. Jeez. God. I think because he's got, like, even though, yes, it's bad that he's aligning himself with Kamu and Haley because, they're not super liked or whatever you want to say. At the same time, they're out there in front of him and people aren't really looking at Chuck when you've got Kamu and Haley out there in front. So I do feel like as much as I don't love his position or what he's been doing or not doing, the fact that he has these kind of shields in front of him could be good. Now, at the same time, the reverse could be true in that it's like, well, we need to weaken Kamu and Haley. So let's just hit their like little minion Chuck. I could see that happening. So I don't know, but it's not great for him. So 4.
All right. The audience says 4 as well. Straight 4s for Chuck. All right. Let's talk about D. I mean, D has been consistently one of the highest rated players on the board, if not the highest rated player on the board, a 9 to a 7 last week. And, there's a reason for it. I think that there was this sense of like she was catching the paranoia parasite from Angela, perhaps via the lettuce. And that was maybe causing her game to deteriorate a little bit. But when she talks to Devins, she seems to have a whole different head on her shoulders. And I really like her position still. I really do. She is in prime position to do very, very well. I think Devins is fully dedicated to her, and he has a diamond power of veto. She does not have much of a target. The Angela DR running the house thing is starting to die down. And I guess to kind of counteract the argument we were making before, I do think that Kamu has sucked up a little bit of that attention, and Dee has been able to fall into the shadows just a little bit. Now, will that really matter? That's another question. But man, yeah, I do still really like her positioning, and ultimately, like, I cannot ignore just how massive an advantage the Diamond Power Veto is, and the knowledge that of where it sits. I gave her 7 last week. I gotta give her an 8.
Ooh. I honestly want to give her a 6 because, like I said earlier, I don't like it when people gas someone up to do a big confrontation in this sort of way. I don't like that. And I don't think that that was good for her game, because I think it just brought a big target onto Kamu, and Kamu is supposedly an ally of hers. And I think that she should have been trying to keep targets off of all of her allies, rather than, oh, I'm just going to make a big target on my ally so that way I don't have a big target. I think it's like, no, let's keep everyone's targets pretty low, should be the goal in an alliance. So I don't love what she was doing. I'm tempted to give her a 6. However, she's got Devon's, the power. I think that, ultimately, after hearing the conversations with other people after this whole confrontation, she comes across looking pretty good, because, she was crying and saying, I feel bad for Jason and things like that. And not really coming across as like, oh, I kind of pushed for this to happen. So I don't think she comes out in a bad way after this. So I'm going to give Dee a 7.
Does Dee have any personal relationship with Jason? Like, do they have a connection?
I mean, he's the one that told her, or she's the one who had the information from him that said he was going to go after the red corner. That's primarily because he was trying to play her. They have a relationship. I wouldn't say it's a very great one, though.
Yeah, I feel like someone mentioned in the chat, like, that people are taking their anger out of the season on Dee, and I it's hard to continue to like people when they just remain in power, especially in a circumstance where it's uneven. But looking at her positioning, looking at her allies, looking at my faith in her to be able to steer out of a skid if that happens, I think for me, I would want to be seeing her do like things that are actively only helping her. So I'm going to keep her at a 7. I don't think she's moved up that much.
All right, the audience, I'm going to assume, either agrees with you or is even lower. A 6 indeed, from the audience. Lower on Dee.
Although they were a 6 last week too, so.
It's true. Yeah. It's true. All right, then. Let's talk about Devon's. Melissa, what are your thoughts on Devon's?
Devon's got the power, so obviously I'm feeling pretty good about his position, or at least a lot better about his position. And I think, honestly, he handled himself really well in the tea party and the aftermath. I appreciated that he said that it's purely game and he likes everyone on a personal level and things like that. And then afterwards going up to Jason and saying, this on a personal side, I really like you, da, 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 da. So I do appreciate that. I personally like it when people keep it to game and keep it away from personal attacks or anything like that. So I appreciate that about Devon's. Obviously the power is good. He just doesn't have any heat on him seemingly this week, which is good. So I really do need to increase his rating. I think because he's got this power and because he basically comes out pretty unscathed from his previous week, I'm gonna give him an 8. I'm just gonna do it.
All right, Mary.
I hate to be that person, but I'm just gonna say ditto. Yeah, kind of echo everything Melissa just said. Boy, yeah, wow, do I wish I had bought some Devon stock.
Right?
I know, that's crazy.
I did not. And if anyone ever wonders if people fudge this who are on this podcast, I went all in on Angela and then I rated her a 5. So you know what?
Yeah.
I'm being fair. I respect the stock watch.
Yes, I agree. I mean, I did consider a 9 here just because of how massively overpowered the Diamond Power Veto is. On top of, I think, the fact that he's doing a very good job in the House. But ultimately, I am not fully there yet. I think that I'm really impressed with the direction that Devins is going in the game. But there's a big mess coming, and he's embroiled in a lot of it. So I'm very curious to see how he navigates his way out of that mess when it comes to everything he's involved in. Because right now he is essentially the new Drew. Devins is the thing holding everything together, and what does that mean for him in the coming weeks is what I'm interested in. Obviously, knowing that he has the Diamond Power Veto to bail himself out is kind of moot. But I'm not going to extra reward him just because he got that incredible power. So I'm going to give him an 8 as well. Also, I want to make one thing very clear in case it's not clear. I think the distinct difference between Devins's plan for Drew and the original kind of approach that Angela and Dee, in particular Angela, had with Drew is that Angela and Dee, as I was talking about throughout the first couple of weeks, were often just not talking to Drew, kind of pushing him to the side, and planting seeds and sort of indicating to people that they didn't trust him in ways that were potentially alienating to Drew, trying to potentially go after him, in my opinion, too early. Whereas Devins's approach is much more so who cares whether or not we can trust him? Just his position is something to look out for. And in the meantime, while we sort of figure out how to strike, we need to make sure we're keeping him close. And Devins is very, very effective at that. Drew really, really trusts Devins because Devins has been putting in the work. That is the main difference. And it's the one thing that I really was wanting to see from Angela and Dee in all of that time was for them to, if you don't trust him, go to him and make him feel good, not the other way around. And that's what Devins has been able to do so far. We'll see if he's able to continue. But does the audience agree? I'm going to guess it's a 7. Yeah.
Ooh. That's still an 8, a 5 to an 8. That's pretty good.
5 to an 8. Big money making on Devins. All right. Mary, how do you feel about Drew?
You know, this is a nooch. No. How do I feel on Drew? I feel like Drew is active, but being clocked for doing stuff. I think if he can win a power, that'll help. But I feel nervous about, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, look at most of the people in the house. Who's putting Drew up? That's the real question. And Chuck. I do feel, Chuck. Well, Chuck could win. But if it's just Chuck, is it mostly Chuck at this point? I feel like
I think Haley might. I think if Haley or Chuck wins, Angela's pushing. And I don't know if Devins is going to care all that much because he can ride the middle.
Gosh,
Angela herself might just go ahead and do it, but who knows?
Yeah, I think the thing is that he's not safe. He does come across kind of sloppy in a lot of the play that he's doing. And last week he averaged a 6. I want to make sure I'm doing these with respect to each other. I think he's better than Chuck. Is he better than Angela? Is he about where Angela's at? And I would say that I feel like he's actually pretty close to Angela. So I'm going to go with a 5. I feel like they're around the same. And him and Barrett, it's all around the same. And I gave Barrett a 4. Yeah, I respect this. I'm going with a 5.
There you go. 5 from Mary for Drew. I can't do that, though. I just can't. I can't give him a 5. I think he is a 4. I think that not only is there just such a large amount of impending doom, but Devins is now fully on board with the doom that is supposed to be brought to Drew. He's losing his tether, so to speak, to Kamu, which has been an incredibly important connection to him. And the whole house is really gearing up for the Drew eviction, and he has absolutely no clue that it's happening. He is fully trusting of Devins. He fully believes that he's in a fantastic spot, and he's just not. He's going to have very little defense to survive, I think, an attack. And on top of all of that, he's facing a very tricky situation this very week where he might need to, again, navigate through a spot where he needs to tell Melody and sorry, I can't vote for Mallory to stay. Or, in my opinion, the right thing, and fully declare war on the other side, which is, for the record, also probably a death sentence because of the Diamond Power veto, but the best he can probably do at this point. So you can see how doomed I think he seems to be at the moment in terms of his position. And that's why, listen, there's always ways out. And I do think he is clearly a decent player, but man, he is in the dark. What do you think, Melissa?
Oh, I'm between a 4 and a 5, and I want to give him a 5 because I really am hopeful, and so I think I will. I have hope that Drew can, if he gets wind of this, can figure it out, and I feel like I don't see him being, and watch me eat my words on this, but I don't really see him being in danger this week, and so I think he still has time to turn it around, so I'm going to give him a 5.
All right. The audience, I'm going to guess, is with the two of you. I think they gave him a 5. They did. Yeah. Look at that. 5 for Drew. All right. Let's then move on to Haley. Let's talk about Haley. Let's see. Haley is, what is there really more to say? She's in the same exact sort of position she was in before. She's in the red corner. The Angela D have committed again to the red corner. She's still a big target from the outside. People don't like her. Angela and D occasionally suspect her of things anyway. Is she likely to win this game? At this point, not very. So am I willing to give her a 4 because her position has improved enough? Honestly, yes. I think enough targets have come up that she's probably slightly improved her lot here, but not really due to anything she's in particular. I mean, she's active. She's relatively insulated. Yeah, I think a 4 makes sense for me.
Yeah, 4 makes sense for me as well, although I don't like the idea that I'm going up from last week. I feel like a 4... I feel like she seems the same, but when looking at the other ratings I've given the other players, I feel like a 4 makes sense to her. And then I didn't like how she got kind of embroiled in the Tea Party drama as well. So, that's not great for her. But at the same time, she has allies, etc. So yeah, a 4.
I actually am going to go with a 3, mostly because I just don't see a scenario where she wins. I don't see her getting likability enough for that. And I think that she is in a decent spot to be a 3rd nominee for a lot of people. And very few people I can think of would save her from the veto. And I think there's a lot of people she could go against at a Blockbuster where she wouldn't win. So I just don't find her to be particularly safe.
All right. Last week, the audience gave her a 4. I'm inclined to believe they did the same this week. And in fact, they did. 4 for Haley. Melissa, what are your thoughts on Jason?
I want to give Jason a good rating because I feel like he handled himself so well in the confrontation. He had very cogent arguments. And I feel like if I was in the house, I'd be like, that's a smart guy. I want to work with him. But I know that, he also came across bad because people knew that he was lying. He was called out on things. And previously he had already been called out on things for lying. And there's only so many times you can be like, I'm a messy player. That's just the way it is, because you're not going to want to work with a messy player. It's like, yes, it's not like an unforgivable offense or something, but it's not really something that you would want to willingly bring into your game. So the fact also that he's a big target this week, he was the renom. He has a huge possibility for going home. You know, right now, obviously, like we're not watching it, but I'm hearing that there is talk on the feeds that that people might want him to stay and Mallory to stay and get Lala out in all situations. So, I mean,
they should do.
That would be amazing. But you know, who knows? So at this point, I don't feel like I can rate him a better rating than last week, because last week I gave him a 2 and this week he had this big confrontation, and you know, he's kind of persona non grata. Obviously it'd be awesome if something flips and something happens, but at this point I do feel like I still have to give him a 2.
All right, Mary.
Yeah, I think the tricky part is, and this has to do a lot with his personality and everything in other games that he's been on, but it's just like he strikes me as the kind of person who, when you're in a position where you're at the bottom and you're also someone who you know, enjoys getting attention and having fun with it, unfortunately that doesn't make you improve your position most of the time. You need to actually, like, it almost needs to counteract like his natural inclination. It's like the thing you need to do now is like kind of quietly be genuine with people and make good relationships, and then see if that can help you come back. But it does appear to be that that's somewhat working for him at this moment. So but it's so much easier when you're at the bottom to just be like, all right, I'm at the bottom, screw it, let's blow things up. So I think I'm also going to put him at a 2. However, if he stays, I think we have a decent shot for him moving up a bit. Because I think it doesn't, unless you're working really directly with Kamu, it doesn't behoove you to get rid of him. It's great to have someone else be against the people that you're also against. So
yes. All right. I think I have a slightly hot take here then, which is that last week I did give him a 2. That's because he was on the block. And, you know, I was kind of like, he didn't really do a lot in week 2 to deserve that position. But I was like, he put himself in this position in week 1 with telling everybody all of his information, it getting back. I'm not going to repunish him again for his week 1 sins. And so in terms of this week, I really feel like he has not done much to warrant this position. He's really done, actually, I think, a pretty decent job. I think that the way that he responded to Kamu telling him he wasn't going to go on the block was actually very good. It did put Kamu in a position where, like, he was like, oh man, like I don't feel justified targeting him anymore, which, you know, caused a whole other thing. But like, it was good. It was a good job. He did a lot of great work with Drew in particular, which is basically the vote, and he recognized it, the vote he needs this week to stay. And he put that work in early. I think that he did a great job. He got Drew wanting him to win the veto, wanting him to pull off Mallory. I think he's actually done a lot of good work. He's obviously in a very bad position. I don't think that positionally he's above a 2, but I do think that, like, I genuinely, and I felt this way even before the Tea Party. I was giving him his props for the good work he did with Drew, and I want to give him a little extra, a little bonus on top for that work. And again, this is me. This is not like I'm very, very willing to be the Simon Cowell who gives like the realistic rating in the face of like popular onslaught of whatever. But I genuinely think Jason has done some good work this week, and for me that puts him closer to a 3. Not to mention the fact that there are potential flips in the work I don't think will probably work, but like, and the fact that I think he has got a great shot to win this Blockbuster. I think it's a great shot to win a power. So
that is true. If he wins a power, I do think that is a massive help. There's
some upside here, yeah. All right. The audience, are they with me? It's tough to get a 2, especially for a fan favorite at the moment. I'm guessing it's a 3. It is indeed. Yeah. Audience, so predictable. Audience never has any hot takes. All right, let's talk about Kamu. Mary, how do you feel about Kamu?
I mean, not great. Let's see. Kamu was a 6. Fascinating. Kamu has some allies, clearly has the ability to win challenges, however, will not be eligible for HOH next time. I think especially if this flip happens or whatever, this movement to keep Jason, that's going to be not good for Kamu. And I think that if Lala goes home, that's not like that big of a move for Kamu, so that's not great. So I'm definitely dropping him. I'm just trying to decide how far down to go. He does still have people who like him. There's been the various flirting things, and he's still in a decent position in the house. So I think gameplay wise, let me just look at the other people I've rated. I'm kind of between a 4 and a 5, but I actually think gameplay wise, he's probably at a 5 here. I think he's still got room to maneuver.
All right. Okay, we're talking about a potential flip here. I want to maybe, and this is definitely not great for hitting 2 hours, but I do want to maybe like briefly talk about this potential idea of a flip. Obviously, we can't really watch what's happening. I think the gist of this is that Mallory and Melody, or maybe Melody is pitching something. Yash is involved. We know that Yash has considered this idea before, especially with Drew. The main thing is there are going to be 12 votes this week. I believe, I don't think Drew will commit to a flip if it's like fully him against Kamu and Devins and the entire rest of the other side of the house. I don't think Drew commits to that unless he gets some serious information about his actual position. I think the only way Drew flips is if the numbers are already there and he's got the positioning to be like, the votes are already on this side. I'm voting with the house. You guys should jump on board. We can make the most of this. So if that's the case, I think Drew could even get away with, hey, Barrett's going rogue. Like Barrett's not willing to vote against Mallory. So if you say, okay, Barrett, you have Melody, if you've got Lyric, you've got, if you can get Jason and or Mallory on board, that's 4. And I should have had faces up when I was doing this because I've already forgotten who I've included. If you can get Taylor was a key vote here that they think they will have to keep Lala. If you can get Taylor to be on board, but that's tough because she's trying to get into an alliance with Devins and Kamu. If you can get Yash to be on board with you, with Drew and Barrett. Now all of a sudden you've gotten to 6. You could say Drew gets on board. It's still tough. Like you're still only at around 6 or so votes, which is still a tie, which Kamu breaks. You could hope that you could still have Haley who wants Lala out. You could hope that you could maybe pull Angela. I think that's still the key. But this flip alone does require a lot of pieces to really lock in and for Drew to be that 7th vote. So it's still not looking great to me right now. There's plenty of time. I still think this is more likely going to be a vote of positioning, of like who has the votes. The other side will need to back down. And right now, the red corner has the positioning on lock. But that doesn't mean that they will continue to have it on lock, especially if Taylor in particular vocally agrees with them. I think that could be another thing. If Kamu and Devins feel like, oh, Taylor actually does want Lala gone, she really wants Jason or Mallory to stay, now we're pissing off her and Barrett and Drew, maybe we back down. But I think that requires, again, a lot. All right. But my thoughts on Kamu, I agree. I think he's still in a good position. I do think that the call out of Jason was not the best for his game. I think that it's put a much bigger spotlight on him in general. And for as much as he gets away with the fact that it's basically a blatant lie that this is the reason he's targeting Jason, I think that still sits with people. And I think Devins pulling him away from Drew is actually very bad for Kamu. I think that Kamu had better options when he was with Drew. If he gets sucked into Devin's orbit, I think that's a bit of a black hole. That's not good for him. So I am going to go down on Kamu this week. I'm giving him 5.
Yeah, I'm going to give Kamu a 4. I don't think that he came out looking good in this confrontation. I think people are not going to view him as trustworthy. I think that like people will view him as maybe a liability. And also the fact that like, you know, afterwards, Dee and Devins were talking and they were like, he looked really dumb. Like he didn't, I mean, first of all, I actually don't think he came across looking that dumb in the confrontation, but I don't think it was a good idea. Like, I think overall the idea of doing this whole confrontation was pretty dumb, but I didn't think that he sounded that dumb in the confrontation, but they were saying he sounded dumb in the confrontation and that they egged him on to do it, or that Dee egged him on to do it. And it just kind of is like he's playing into their hand and just like their little puppet. And to me, that doesn't make me think that somebody is in a good spot. If somebody is being, you know, manipulated to do dumb things for their game, I don't feel like that ultimately will be someone who wins the game. So yeah, for me, he's a 4 this week. Especially if this vote flip happens and Jason ends up staying. I mean, that's not going to be good for him because, you know what, he got out Lala. That's like not that big of a deal. So I think that this is, I think ultimately it puts a big target on his back, and I don't think that's good for him. When I do think that last week he was playing pretty well and under the radar a bit, even though he is such a competitor and all that, I felt like he was pretty insulated and was honestly making relations with people outside of the group and was doing a pretty good job. I don't see that this week. I feel worried about him. And I know people are like talking with him and but he's the HOH. So they're obviously going to suck up to him. And I feel like that's going to change when he's out of power.
All right. What does the audience think? Last week they gave him a 6. I think they went down to a 4. I think he was at the bottom of the favorites ranking. I think he's down to a 4. Boom!
Wow.
You can't stop me.
Yeah.
All right. Let's then talk about Lala. Lala on the block definitely could still leave. But honestly, like either way, it's just like not looking great for her in the game. It's just like the reason people want to keep her is because they think she's basically a non-player. I think that like, I mean, it's just rough out here in these streets for Lala. Is she likely to go home? She really might. But yeah, I'm going to give her 3. I think that she's got a chance to go home. I don't think she's doing anything in particular that's wrong this week. She's less likely to go home than obviously somebody like Jason. If she doesn't go home this week, there is a very good chance that she lasts for a little while. It's just like, is she going to like make an end game run? Probably not, but it's a long game. So 3.
Yeah, I'm going to give her a 2. I just feel like even if she does stay this week, it's like, to what end? Like, then what? I just don't feel like she has the game in her, which is unfortunate because, you know, we were all really excited about her coming into the house. And, you know, it's just some people just don't like have the game in them and they don't really know what to do or how to make moves or who to talk to or like what it's about. And that's kind of what I feel like is going on here. So yeah, it's a 2.
I know that the typical option for a 1 is someone who's like out the door, can't win, has actively made decisions to hurt their game. I don't think she's that, but I literally don't see how she's ever winning this game. I don't see how she's winning this game at this point. She would have to drastically change her gameplay. Or, I mean, Big Brother is not typically the kind of game where someone like Lala ends up in a final 2-3 scenario and wins because the other people are so hated. Like, she'd still have to do something.
She need to win a couple comps in the end, is my opinion.
She'd need to win a couple comps. And this isn't like, I'm like trying to think of comparisons because it's not even like a oldest person in the house exact situation. Like you can do that and still be have agency, be in alliances, but it's like she's not actively trying to build coalitions. She's not even doing the like I'm slowly going around to every single person, getting really, really tight with them. She's going to be an option to be in a 3-person block situation. She's going to be doing that. But like, I feel like if I can see by week 3 that I'm having a hard time figuring out how she's even going to put herself in a position of power, like best case scenario for Lala here is that a new alliance forms and gets power and she's a part of it. And that's best case scenario. And that she's a part of it. And it could happen. She could be a part of it and then somehow start to really actively game. But she just can't keep just kind of being chill and nice and magically win the game that way. So yeah, I don't know. I'm probably going to get some flack, and I think this is a hot take, but I am going to give her 1 because I just don't. And I think that she has a high likelihood of going home this week and a extremely high likelihood of getting back on the block over and over. And I just don't see a situation where she's winning power or doing anything with it. So I'm going to give her a 1. Sorry.
A 1. The first 1 of the season for Lala.
I feel bad about it.
I do really disagree with the 1. I think the 1 is unwarranted.
I wanted 1 hot take. Let me have it.
Let her have 1 hot take.
Let her have 1 hot take.
There you go. Listen, you can complain about the hot take or you can complain about the not hot take, but there's certainly a hot take here. The audience, I think, is going to go 3 on this. 2? No, sorry. The average is 2. They went 3.
I was like, whoa. Okay.
Oh, man. All right. So it's going to average out to a 2 there for Lala as we get our first 1 of the season. Let's then move on to Lyric. Melissa, what are your thoughts on Lyric?
Oh, gosh. You see, now I don't know. Did I give any other 6s? No, I don't think I gave any 6s.
You have given 0 6s so far.
It's tough. I mean, I kind of think maybe I'll stick with my 6 from last week. I know that like Rome left and it's not great for her game on one hand. On the other hand, it is good for her game because I feel like she's able to make connections with people. And, I don't necessarily see people like trying to target her or anything like that. But I don't see her really having a great position right now. I feel like I would like to see something from her, but right now, I mean, I gave her the 6 last week because she was removed from the block and did all that. This week, she won the veto and was removed from the block. I don't know. I'm like, I feel in my heart that it's like a 5, but I'd like to think it's a 6. And I feel like because she last week was able to save herself, this week is able to save herself. Like that's great. But at the same time, it's like, okay, but you shouldn't have to keep saving yourself. You should have some allies. You should have like a spot in the game. Oh my God. I don't know. I feel like you know what? I'm just gonna give her 6. Whatever.
A 6 from Melissa.
I don't know. I'm torn. It's a very low 6. Let's just say.
Yeah, I am between a 5 and a 6 with her. I think that it's relatively. I don't know. I was gonna say it's relatively transparent what she's doing, but she managed to snow a lot of people last week. I think Lyric is in this position where, she has an ability to make people want to believe her because they want to work with her and they want to like her and they want to believe that she wants to work with them, which is a powerful position to be in. But there's only so long you can kind of play that before people go, wait, she's saying these things, but not following through with them. But also, she can do that, and if she doesn't ever have to win power to back it up. So she can kind of talk the talk. I feel like at this point, I think there are still several people who would put her on the block and go after her. I definitely think it was a relatively okay thing for her game for Rome to go, because otherwise she would have just kept being such an obvious target. So I think at this point, yeah, between 5 and 6. Oh, but you know what? I've got to stay consistent, right? And did I give a D a 6? Did I give a D a 6?
You gave D a 7.
Okay, where's the 6 coming from? Oh, is that
That's
the audience?
Right?
Yeah,
okay, never mind. I was like, there's
like,
no way.
What?
There's no way. I was like, that didn't seem right. Oh, but you know what? I gave Kamu a 5. Yeah, you know what? I'll give her a 6. I'll give her a 6.
There you go. I did think about the 6. I'm going to give her a 5. I think that her and Taylor are the two best positioned players who are not in the main power structure, in my opinion. However, unlike Taylor, who is being talked about as a threat, Lyric is just straight up like not being talked about, like at all. And for that reason, I do think she is well positioned to navigate some kind of like deterioration of the structure, the power structure. Problem is that is going to have to happen in order for her to navigate that. But she has won a competition now, which I like. It's shown that she can win competitions, and it's proven that she's got some value to her in the game. So I like Lyric. I just think that she, things need to happen. Things are required to happen in order for her position to improve dramatically. She got a bit of a bump last week because I really was impressed by what she did to get herself off the block. And her position, unfortunately, this week has gone down slightly for me because Kamu won this HOH, put her on the block, and she's going to lose another ally. If her or Mallory had won this week, sky would have been the limit. But unfortunately for her, and perhaps the rest of us, didn't quite work out that way. The audience, I think, is going to be with me again on this. I think they're a 5. I don't think they're going to go down to a 4. I certainly don't think they're going to go up to a 6. Where are they at? Oh, they do go up to a 6.
Wow.
Look at me. I'm wrong.
It's like your first time being
up
wrong,
from
Taran.
last week is interesting. But hey, what are you going to do? All right. Let's then talk about Mallory. Mary, how do you feel about Mallory?
Mallory's... Oh my gosh. Okay. I was picturing Melody. Let me recalibrate. Mallory. Mallory is interesting because unlike a lot of the other people we've talked about, like Mallory's not in a great spot. She's been put up on the block. She's in an alliance that hasn't won power yet. People are coming after her. But unlike people like Lala, I can see a world where she does stuff. Like she's still actively trying in a way that I feel like I can picture the end of the game where she's there and does win some things and does give a speech and everything. I don't think that she's in a particularly great position yet, but I think that I would not say that she has gone down from last week just based on like my perception of how actively she is trying. But she did get put on the block. She's strong now. Yeah. No, I think I'm gonna have to keep her at a 4 based on position. But I think she could move
4.
up to a 5 soon.
I mean, for me, it's just she's so likely to be evicted this week that I can't go as high as a 4. I in fact would consider the 2 again here for Mallory. I do think that she's probably the most at fault for her current position, given that she is consistently saying that she's targeting the vets. Now she doesn't realize that that's a big problem for her because she doesn't realize that they're running the game in the way that they are. But it is still a big problem, and she needs to stop doing that. It's still it's got her nominated. It remains a problem because it's one of the main talking points to keep her from getting the votes to survive. And so it's just a problem. I do think that she's, unfortunately also just like going to continue to be a target because the vets are running the house and they know that she's going to put them up. So even if she survives the week, she's just not in the best of spots. But she can turn it around with some wins, like except for the damn power veto. But that's all. But that's also fine. It's a 3. It's 3 for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 for me as well. I mean, she's potentially going to be gone. I do hope that she can turn it around, but I feel like she is sharing information with people that she shouldn't necessarily trust. And she needs to find some like good, solid allies. So we'll see.
All right. What does the audience think? It's a 4. It's a 4 from the audience. Okay. Let's then move on to Melody. Melody, who has, I would say, like a meaningful improvement to her position in the game, in the sense that she is no longer going to be like the default target for her connection to Drew, at least seemingly not as much. She's certainly not on the block this week, which is nice for her. But I wouldn't say that her position has really meaningfully improved in any significant way. I think that, yeah, I mean, she's just, honestly, I think she's so likely to be put on the block next week. Unless somebody from her quote unquote side wins. I think that she is almost assuredly on the block next week, and that's not going to be great for her. If her side does win, there's still a chance she gets put up on the block via Diamond Power Veto. I don't love it. I don't love the Diamond Power Veto. I'm going to give her a 4.
Yeah, 4 for me as well. I do really like her in the game, and so I do hope she sticks around. I feel like she's a very interesting character, but and I like that she is really playing, but she just doesn't have a good position yet. So yeah, 4.
Yep. I think her and Mallory are relatively similar. Mallory's on the block, but I think that Melody has the ability to... No, that's not what I'm going to say. I think Mallory is on the block, but Mallory has better ability to win competitions. Therefore, Melody is essentially the same. So 4.
All right. The audience, a little higher on Melody. The audience gave Melody a 5. But what about Taylor? Melissa, what are your thoughts on Taylor?
Taylor's interesting. I like her. I feel like she has a good head on her shoulders, but I just feel like she doesn't have any real true allies yet. She's got, these minor things, but I don't feel like they're true groups for her. At the same time, I don't really feel like people are really coming after her. And I kind of feel like she's kind of fading into the background a bit, which is good for her at this point. Although I'd much prefer for her to have some solid allies. But yeah, so I guess I would give her a 5.
All right, Mary.
Yeah, pretty much agree with the 5 there. I think she's a little safer than Mallory and Melody. And I do think that unlike some other people, that I could see her getting picked up, and if she's in a firm alliance that gets any power, I could see her actually doing some things.
All right, my thoughts.
Wow, another 5.
Oh, look at that.
They're similar. Yeah, I like where Taylor's at. I think obviously people have talked about her as a potential threat, but I do think that I think she's played this week very well for the position that she's in, which is that she's managed to make an alliance with one of the key players in the game, Devons, and the HOH on a week where both of her closest allies are being targeted. That's impressive work. It's about as much as you could ask of a person in her position. So good stuff. Is it like going to significantly change the course of her game? I guess we'll find out. The audience agrees. It's straight 5.
Wow, a 5.
Taylor. Finally, let's talk about Yash, Mary.
I mean, ugh. He's another one where I am having a hard time at the moment picturing how he's going to win the game. I just feel like a lot of people are not the biggest fans. He's kind of middling bad. So I'm going to put him at a 3. I mean, it's like a 3, maybe to 4, just because he's kind of not doing much. But I just feel like he's having a hard time connecting with people.
I did give him a 3 last week. I'm actually going to bump him to a 4 this week. I think his stock is currently on the rise. He's got the Dapper Dans running well there. In many ways, people are looking at like Drew as a bigger target than him. He very much is somebody that I think they're just like is going to be overlooked for a long time. And we also know that he's at least somewhat capable of winning a competition. I thought it was pretty impressive that he managed to nail the exact right answer in that Blockbuster. So definitely like look out for Yash. He's liked in the house for what it's worth. They do talk about how he doesn't work with women, but like it's not like he's like that's like super disparaging. It's more jokey than serious at this point. People do tend to like him, and he is pretty decently insulated at this point. Not a lot of people would be willing to put him up, but he still has a long way to go before he really cracks into really like winner potential territory, in my opinion. What do you think, Melissa?
Yeah, 3 from my perspective. I just feel like I don't really know if there's anyone who's like truly, truly working with him. And I feel like he needs to find a person. And I feel like I don't know if I see him doing that. So yeah, 3.
All right. And the audience says a 3 as well. They agreed with you guys. And that's the stock watch for the week. That's what we have. Our season average, I think, has lowered from this week down to 4.58 overall. And that's what we got. That's it. That's the stock watch. We did it. Long roundtable this week. We're a little over.
I mean, to be fair, we had the tea party to talk about, so
yes.
There was a lot going on, and
it just happened. A lot of, social dynamics. It is interesting to look at Devin's score going up the way it did, in the same way that his the rating of looking back at his HOH, right? Wasn't it like went up, 5-ish that went to like a 6.7? Yeah. So it's very interesting to kind of see how that tracked. But that's not how the stock watch works. You can't bank on how you're going to feel about it after the fact. So
I mean, when you get the most overpowered advantage in the history of the show, it's bound to work out pretty well for you. And on top of that, I do think he played pretty well this week. So it was quite a bump here.
And you know what? I don't even care if it's a good game or not. I'm going to appreciate both Taylor and Devins for at least attempting to leave the tea party.
Yes, of course. I'm seeing that Barrett has already ratted out the potential Save Jason plan to D, and people are very, very mad about that.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those things where it's like, I'm just going to have to watch myself. Obviously, Barrett would never vote and blindside
without telling her.
Like I said, this is a vote about positioning. So if Barrett is able to position himself or the vote in a way that's like all these people want to go this way, actually the votes are here, you should get on board, that's one thing. If he's saying, yeah, they're trying to do this and I'm not going to keep Mallory, that would be another thing. I don't know which is which right now.
It sounds like it's the former. Like, it sounds like he's saying this is what happened and D is telling him to do whatever he wants. I don't know.
Okay.
But I don't know. But I don't know. Because she asked him, I guess, what do you want? Or are you going, what are you going to do? And he said he doesn't know. So it wasn't like, oh, these people are stupid. Like, whatever. It was kind of like, hey, I don't know. So
interesting.
We'll see.
Interesting. Well, that's what we have for you on this week's Roundtable podcast. I will, of course, be live tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern, to update you on everything that happens today, including what's happening right now with this vote, with everything else on tomorrow's live feed update. I'll also be doing the mailbag with Rob, for the patrons of Rob as a podcast. If you're not a patron of the podcast already, do it. I'm a patron. It's a good time. And speaking of patrons, become a patron of mine as well. Spread the love. Patreon's a great place to be. I'm doing live feed streams. I was live during the tea party. It was a good time to sort of like be with other people. And you can still check out that VOD as well over on my Patreon. You can also find me on Twitch and YouTube streaming the episodes. And we got all kinds of podcasts coming your way in general. Mary, what do you got going on?
You can follow me everywhere at Frail Mary. And if you want to hear more podcasting from me, check out the Free Agents podcast, Millennial TV, where I'm talking with Matt Ligori about the sweet life of Zach and Cody. It's exactly the same as Big Brother. Don't worry, you'll love it.
Yes. And of course, you can find Melissa at It's Melissa with 3 A's.
Yeah. I'm
That's
going to try and start twitching, whatever, live streaming, watching feeds soon. That one's It's Melissa with 3 A's. Duh. It's a little different.
Melissa.
Like D-U-H?
Duh.
D-U-H. Like it's Melissa.
Right.
Duh.
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 I'm
do you have
gonna
a
do
scheduled time yet, or is it still
no?
just
But
kind of?
well, I'm wondering, like, do people like? I don't know when people like to watch. Do they like to watch like on the weekend randomly, like during the day, or do they like to watch at night? When's the most popular time?
Yeah, this is what I've learned. We're turning the end of this podcast into streaming advice. That you need to stream at the time that makes the most sense for you. If you, it doesn't really make sense to try to chase the timing of the audience. I mean, don't stream in the middle of the night, probably, but like, you know, yeah, you might find more people at a certain time, but like, do what feels like something that you can do consistently. Because if you're like, I got to go at exactly this time because I'll get like 10 or like 50 more viewers, then you'll get stuck there. And like, it's not sustainable. And then you go to a different time. It's like, oh, we can't go to that time because we're this time. It's just do the time that makes sense for you, and people will come. Okay. I'm gonna do it. I'm really gonna do it. All right. I just want to figure it out. Make sure you check that out when it happens. And that is what we have for you. Thank you all so much for joining us here tonight on the Roundtable podcast, and we will see all of you next time.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.